cleaned it all up for her and said I was sorry, but I ain't. And I'd said I'd come back every Saturday and try and make it grow back out again.
Jim, there's no use in saying you're sorry if you aren't. She's an old lady and she's ill. You can't hold her responsible for the things she says and does. Of course, I'd rather she have said it to me than to either of you. But we can't always have our druthers.
Atticus, she wants me to read to her.
Read to her?
Yeah, she wants me to come every afternoon after school and Saturdays and read out loud for 2 hours. Atticus, do I have to?
Certainly.
But she wants me to do it for a month. Atticus, it's all right on the outside by the sidewalks, but inside, it's all dark and creepy. And there's shadows on the wall and stuff on the ceilings.
That should appeal to your imagination, son. Just pretend you're inside the Radley house.
So Scout and Jem went every day after school to visit old, drooly Miss Dubose and read to her while she lay in bed and frequently corrected Jem's reading. But after a while, she became quieter and quieter until she seemed almost asleep, except for her tongue slithering around amidst her drool. Finally, when the alarm rung, the children were free to go, and the old woman had her medicine.
But each day, the 2 hours seemed to grow longer. The children wouldn't get home till 5:30 or later, and with the increased length of reading time, Mrs. Dubose's sleeping fits seemed to eventually cease altogether. She would simply dismiss the children without the alarm. Finally, one day, after about a month and what felt like a lot extra time to Scout and Jem, she let them go home for good. No more reading. Months later, late one night, Atticus went over to her house. He returned long after Scout's bedtime.
Well, what'd she want? She ain't been out on her porch lately.
She's dead, son. She died a few minutes ago.
Oh? Well.
Well is right. She's not suffering anymore. She was sick for a long time. Didn't you know what her fits were? Mrs. Dubose was a morphine addict. She took it as a painkiller for years. The doctor put her on it. She would have spent the rest of her life on it, but she was too contrary.
Sir?
Mrs. Dubose, before your escapade, she called me in to make her will. Dr. Reynolds had said she only had a few more months to live. All her business affairs were in perfect order, but she said there was still something wrong.
What was that?
She wanted to die beholden to nothing and nobody. She meant to break herself of the medication before her life was over. She was a great lady.
A lady? After all those things she said about you, a lady?
She was. She had her own opinions, very different from mine maybe. But, Jem, I wanted you to see something in her. I want you to see what real courage is, instead of going through your life thinking it was a man with a gun in his hand. Real courage is knowing you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway, and see it through, no matter what. You rarely win, but sometimes you do. Mrs. Dubose won, all 98 pounds of her. According to her views, she died beholden to nothing and nobody. She was the bravest person I ever knew.